Well, hello, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Archeryshack Shop Talk. I'm Jeremy.
I'm TJ.
We got a special guest. Y'all are not going to believe it. Let me give him a huge intro. He's a professional drummer for huge bands that we'll talk about in a minute. He's a professional archer, and he just happens to live or be from about 30 minutes up the road. We got Scott with us.
What's up, guys?
This is going to be a cool podcast.
Yep.
It'll be fun.
It'll be interesting.
To say the least, yes.
Somehow ended up getting Scott on the podcast, and he was like, I'll be on there. I got to bring up my stuff here.
And here we are.
Here we are. We're going to talk about Scott in 2 seconds. But first, we do our little featured product, and this time we've talked about them before, but it's the little Bowmar nose button. Check them out. We've had a lot of people call in and come in and buy them. We were one of the first that I knew that had them in stock, and people bought them real quick, so we try to keep them in stock. But what it is a little. Have you looked at these before?
I have, and I actually was thinking about putting one on my bow.
It's like a little mini kisser button, but it's got these little sharp edges around it, and it's got 2 different sizes in the pack and the serving to install it and whole 9 yards. But you put it up there, and it gives you a different reference point.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, you could still use a kisser, but it just makes sure your nose is touching the string. Anyway, it's pretty cool. I'm going to put a link for these. Of course, it's an affiliate thing, so if you order, it will give the channel a couple bucks, so we appreciate that. But I'm going to put a link for them in the description. Had a lot of people talking about these, so I thought we'd bring them up again. But they're like $15-20, and so far everybody's loved them.
And they are approved by Levi Morgan.
Oh, man. And you know him. But,
I do.
So
Super nice guy.
Back to Scott. I don't even know where to start with Scott. He's like straight up professional drummer. So what all bands have you played for?
Oh, man. Let's start with the big bands. So when I first moved to Nashville, I was with Billy Currington for a little while. Left Billy Currington, then I was with Vince Gill for a little while. Left Vince. Then I did the Dolly Parton train for a little while.
Man.
Left there. I was with Kane for a little while, filling in for his drummer. And then, unfortunately, his drummer passed away. And then, after that, been on the Chris Lane gig for a little while. His twin brother, Corey, is usually drumming for him.
Gotcha.
But he has a family as well, so it's kind of slowed down. But tour, unfortunately, has been stopped. So as it looks, I still should be out with Chris. I have not got a guarantee of what's going on with that at this very moment. I know I also just picked up Adam Ernst, who is on Sony Records. So I'll be out with him the next couple months.
That's cool. And I bet everything has been canceled because of this stupid virus.
It has, yeah. They're doing some smaller gigs, like theater gigs and whatnot.
Gotcha.
But they're cutting the capacity down to, I think, 500.
Man.
And, when you have an entire band, a road crew, you have mouths to feed, and unfortunately 500 people can't pay the bill for one night.
Sure.
So,
I'm sure.
Because these guys, we're all on salary, so we get paid either way.
Yeah.
So if they're not making any money, then, even though they have millions of dollars, they look at you and go, yeah, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to pay it.
What got you into drumming? Like, what age did you start?
So I started drumming when I was 3. My mom was a Pentecostal music pastor, so it's kind of in my blood. I have family as well that drums. My cousin Chris Knight has played for Christian band Sonic Flood. He was with Leanne Rhymes for 11 years, Montgomery Gentry.
That's cool.
His brother Bradley is the music pastor at Brooklyn Tabernacle, which, if anyone knows music, as far as church music goes, Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir, you can't beat them.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of in my blood. Played a lot of gigs here around town as I was growing up, and I met a guy by the name of Randy Coors, who is the dobro player for Dolly Parton. He's also a Grammy-winning producer for a bluegrass record. And him and I kind of got to talking, and he's like, man, you're pretty decent drummer. You should give Nashville a shot." And yeah, it was hysterical because I was like, I'm not gonna do this Nashville thing, And I moved to Nashville. I was there for a week, living in a Days Inn because the house that I'd rented wasn't ready yet.
Man.
And literally, it kind of was a stroke of luck because my first gig was the Grand Ole Opry. My second gig was the Ryman Auditorium.
Man.
And it just kind of blew it from there.
Was it like a lot of nerves the first couple there?
It was.
Yeah.
It was. I will say, you grow up. And it's funny because when I was growing up, I told my dad, I was like, I'll never play country music. I can't stand country music. I was a metalhead. I was, wanted to play all that Lamb of God and Disturbed and stuff. And you get my on. And I was like, man, I'll never move to Nashville. And my dad looked at me. He said, never say never, boy. And look where I'm at.
That's crazy.
And, but yeah, the nerves, growing up, you're like, the Grand Ole Opry is like the stage to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it being your very first show in Nashville, you walk out and you've got thousands of people sitting there at the Opry and you're like, oh God.
Man.
It's not the best paying gig in the world, but it's definitely the pinnacle of country music.
No joke. That's cool. Scott, I guess we've known each other for about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, I'd say about that.
Scott came bouncing in and with some other folks I knew, and we started talking, and I'm like, holy crap, this dude is like a legit drummer and a freaking shooting on the pro circuit with ASA. So now let's switch over to archery.
Yeah.
You've shot in the ASA stuff, of course, but
I have.
Which I know you shot what, known pro?
I shoot known pro currently. I'm thinking about switching to open. I have not made the decision yet. If it's based on the shot that I made yesterday, trying to get this bow set up, then I'm probably going to stay with the known for the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, currently I'm known pro. Before that, I was semi-pro.
How long have you been into archery?
So as far as archery, I have only been shooting archery since, let's see, I started when I was 17.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Speaking of that, it is Scott's birthday today.
Yes.
I almost forgot. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the big 3-0.
30.
Yeah, getting old, so close to 40.
And if you get on Facebook, I'm sure y'all are on Facebook, and you find him, he's all the time. If he's doing like live stuff, I've seen it before. I'll be like laying in the bed and it'll be like, Scott Vinson is live, and I'll be like, let's see what he's doing. And he's over, and he's just like winking at the camera, and I'm like, he's just taunting us. But I guess it's nice to get away from Nashville for a little while, even though it's because of all this Corona crap. But
yeah,
it is. It gets a little monotonous at times.
I bet. How many nights a week do y'all typically play? Like, even, I'm sure you do like the big stuff and then probably fill in on some little small stuff too.
Yeah, so when I'm not on the road, I'll go play Midtown or Broadway circuit.
Gotcha.
So that'll be usually a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, bus calls on Thursday morning, or Wednesday night, still Thursday morning, like 2 a.m. bus call.
Gotcha.
And we'll do either a Friday, Saturday show or a late Thursday and then Saturday and then come back in, unless we have fly dates. If we have fly dates, then it gets a little more strenuous with scheduling. But, yeah, unfortunately with this Corona stuff, fly dates are no longer an option.
Man.
And I actually had a buddy of mine who was supposed to be playing in Arizona, and they had everything set, the bus was literally like hitting the state line, and they get a call, show's canceled. They had to turn the bus around, come all the way back to Nashville. And I was like, well, there just went $3,000 worth of diesel fuel down the drain.
Man.
So it's getting a little crazy, but yeah, I'll play in town a good bit. When I'm in town, I generally play with a guy by the name of Blake Hall.
You brought Blake in here, didn't you? I think last year.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Yeah, He came in once with me. Super nice guy, killer guitar player,
Really?
killer singer. He is the only guy I've ever met that does Gavin DeGraw better than Gavin DeGraw does. This is a lot of fun. It's a change for me because he doesn't do that much country. He does a lot of pop and a lot of rock.
Gotcha.
So it's nice to be able to get away from that, hey girl, what's your name, girl circuit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
Man. Well, we normally have people ask, or they send in questions or whatever, so we'll do that for a little bit, and then we'll talk some more, and we can all just kind of speculate or talk about whatever they've sent in. So what do we got this time around, T-Bob?
Our first question comes in from a texter from the 654. What's a good bar size for a tournament rig?
ooh,
Is he talking, like a diameter, or is he
I'm
talking
betting-
length?
Yeah.
I'm betting length is what he's talking. I'm like a 28 or 30 with about a 12 on the side with some weight. But Scott, I want to say the first time I met you, you had a big old joker on the front.
yeah. The first time I met you, I had a 43-inch front bar and a 15 3/4 back bar.
And I was like, what in the world? The bar's taller than he is.
Yes, and I remember that setup. It was on my shoot down, my white shoot down,
Mm-hmm.
and I was running 27 ounces in the front and 84 in the rear.
Good Lord.
Man.
Yeah, it was.
I remember I
heavy
thought
bow.
you were crazy, but when I held your bow, even though it was super heavy, I was like, man, I wouldn't be able to, like, I could see where it would just be solid, but I'd never
Mhm.
seen such a amount of weight like
yeah,
that.
and I was shooting that bow on 72 pounds, 65% draw let off. So it held like a rock. I will say this about the bow: if your follow through with the back tension wasn't perfect, you weren't going to hit the box out of a barn.
Mm.
And it had to be a perfect shot every time, or guaranteed. Even at 20 yards, you were 9 times out of 10 going to shoot about 1.5 feet left.
Man. For average Joe, I'd say like a 26, 28-inch bar with just a couple ounces on the front, and then like a 12-incher with a few ounces on the side. You don't want to tear down your shoulder real quick. You know,
No.
you got to build up to it. So,
Yeah,
you know, let's say 28 and 12, with about just a couple, like 3 on the front and maybe 6 or 8 maybe on the side, or not even that. But
definitely. I wouldn't go more than 4 ounces on the front
Yeah.
if you're really feeling lucky.
yeah,
I know I'm only running 8 on the back, so
Yeah.
it just works with my setup that way. So
and then I mean it gets into the whole. Some people want their bow like super front heavy, and I'm not one of those people. I almost want mine back heavy, and it makes me hold better on most bows. But that's
Yeah.
according to how you like your setup.
I
Yeah.
prefer mine a little back heavy. That way, you don't have the pin dipping below the target.
Yeah,
Because a lot of times I've noticed that I can have the pin dip, and I'm like, I'm only
yeah,
the current setup I'm running is 4 ounces on the front, and you may take that 4 ounces off of the front,
mm-hmm.
and your pin's holding dead in the middle of the target. But as soon as you let that release go, you shoot 2 inches high.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't equate for the amount of jump that's coming off of the bow
And I
when the
like
shot breaks.
with mine. I've shot 8 on the front. That was too much for me. But if I notice I'm getting a lot of left-right movement, I'll add a little more weight to the front, a little more weight to the front. But to me, there's a fine line of it holding steady versus there's too much weight, and I'm starting to drop. Like I'm fighting with my shoulder to keep it up on the target. So
Yeah, my general go-to is if you draw your bow back and you hit your anchor point at the same point and you can't hold your pin in the center for more than 3 seconds,
yeah,
you have too much front weight.
yeah, I agree.
Yep.
But yeah, that's just some random advice, and that's for like an open rig. We've
Mhm.
seen plenty of people. We've set them up with like a 12-incher on the front and a little 6 or 8-incher on the side for more of a hunting situation rig. But I'd start with something like that.
Yeah, and I'm the weird guy. When I hunt, I run a 15-inch front bar and a 12-inch back.
Yeah, we started shooting sidebars on our stuff. I just like it. Now, if I'm worried about hitting stuff, I might not have it on there. But
Yeah.
where I'm at, I'm
Yeah.
usually pretty open,
Yeah, it's definitely not the setup you want if you're doing like a lot of high country
That too, yeah.
walking.
No.
Uh,
In that case, you want to go as light as you can go with all
yeah,
that walking.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But he asked about tournament rigs, so
Yeah.
I'd say 28-12 would be pretty good.
Yeah, and just play with the weight.
Yep.
Yeah. Most of your companies, though, if you're not getting a custom bar cut,
Mm-hmm.
you're usually going to have a company that makes a 27, a 30, a 32.
Yeah.
So if you not having a custom bar set made, I would stick with, me personally, a 27,
Yeah.
running 3 or 4 ounces on the front, and just run a 12.
I was going to say, you could probably get 12, even maybe 15 ounces and play with where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And y'all, I'm sure y'all have seen in the videos we've done, we got the little bow balancer here, but if you don't have that at home, the easy thing for me to do is kind of play with my sidebar, move it in, move it out, but then add weight, take away weight, and pretty much before I had that, I'd pull back with my eyes closed on flat ground, shooting normal, and I would move it in or out or add or take away weight until my bubble would be perfectly level without me looking to adjust it, you know what I mean? So I'd come to full draw and boom, that's where I'd leave it.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. The last thing you want to do is have to move that bubble with your grip.
Yep.
Yep.
What else we got? T-Bob?
We got an actual local question come in from the 864. How is Corona affecting archery?
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's really affecting it.
Everything has been canceled.
They canceled like the next 2 weeks of local shoots. The ASA canceled a shoot. What else?
One of the national shoots got canceled.
It's crazy.
Indoor nationals got canceled.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Wasn't there one that there was another one down in, what was it, Guatemala, the World Archery Cup
Probably
or
a
something?
World Cup or something.
But as far as I know and what I've seen, the tacks are still on, the Total Archery Challenge.
I'm curious to watch them and see. I'm like, and we're supposed to have a shoot here at the shop next weekend, and according to what the governor comes up with this week, we're hoping to keep it, but we keep hearing rumors that it might turn into one of those essential businesses only can stay open, and if they do that, I don't know what we'll do, but we'll find out this coming week. But, I mean, people are outside. I guess you are possibly touching each other's arrows, but other than that, you're really not that close to each other.
No.
I don't see how it could be that big a deal.
If we get that close, we'll just cover our face with some toilet paper.
You got toilet paper?
Thank you, Amazon. They hooked me up.
But
It's been something else.
It has. And then on, with us and the strings, it's been a complete flip. Like this time last year, I remember we sitting in the shop kind of like, okay, what are we doing,
And even we've had 6 or 7 bows dropped off in the past week for strings, which is pretty rare for this time of year.
Yeah.
Usually it's just 1 or 2 trickling in because it's the start of the dead season, but I've been impressed with how fairly busy it's been.
Yeah. So it's affecting it one way and the other. So.
Yeah. I figure people are sitting at home wanting to tinker with stuff to one degree, but then like they're having to cancel shoots because of what the state rules are or whatever right now. So
It definitely has helped with me. As much as I would love to shoot right now, it's helped with me because I literally just changed shafts. So, I've been in the shop the last couple of days building shafts, and it went from building shafts to changing a rest, retuning a bow.
shimming it.
Shimming, yeah. Shimming.
And he gets all that done, and we got him a set of strings back here we got to finish making, and then he's got to go through it all again.
Yeah, I got to go through the whole process again, which is okay. As long as it shoots better than what it was. That's all that matters.
We seen your arrow yesterday, so we're hoping.
Hey, that was all right. So we've already had this discussion about me wanting to go to open. So I took an arrow out yesterday. I'll tell the story. Took an arrow out yesterday. Brand new sight tape, running an arrow that's 130 grains heavier. Judged to target. I'm like, all right, I think I got the right number. I don't have a sight tape for it. So I kind of guesstimated on where I thought my sight tape would be. Draw the bow back. I'm sitting right. I mean, the bow was not moving out of the 12 ring. I let it go, and I hear, pow! Needless to say, my arrow shaft and a steel pole got very acquainted very fast.
It wasn't 22 yards.
It was not. It was not. I I judged the target for 46, and I believe after I looked at it through the rangefinder, it was like 39 and a half.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm-mm-mm.
which is why I shoot Gnome Pro.
Man. But yeah, Corona, I don't know what. I think we got a couple more weeks of craziness, and then hopefully all this will go away. But me and TJ both had sinus trouble. I went in the Dollar General last night and let out a good sneeze, and everybody evacuated the store.
Oh, go ahead.
I know a lot of people out there, and this is all you hear about is the coronavirus. I've actually kind of got off of social media. I occasionally glance at like Facebook, but that's all I seen. And
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
the same way now.
and I don't even watch the news anymore, which there really wasn't nothing on there to start with.
Agreed.
And so to me, I think people, me coming to the shop every day to work, and like yesterday and today, I have seen more traffic than I have in the whole last week.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and I think a lot of people are just finally realizing that this might not. It's bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to downplay it or anything.
Yeah, I think if you're an older person already with some breathing problems, that's where I'd be worried.
I just think people, they closed schools down for 2 weeks here, so they got, your teachers are off. Pretty much your schools are closed.
Mm-hmm.
You're out. I mean, the kids are doing online classes. So, but some people got a 2 week vacation
Yeah.
in a certain aspect, and I know I'm probably going to get flagged on YouTube and all the comments for everything, but it's, to me, I'm tired of hearing about it kind of deal.
Yeah, I agree. I'll be glad when it blows over.
I feel bad for all the parents that are understanding for these 14 days how their teachers feel
That's no joke.
having to deal with their kids.
Yep. That's no joke.
Mm-hmm.
What's next?
All right. Mike from Facebook asked, is Sherlock still around?
They are.
Yep.
If you're referring to the carbonic site, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. They're still really not shipping them, and it's been like, 3 years now?
About 3 or 4.
So Sherlock, Gibbs sold Sherlock to Faradyne, and then it went downhill from there. So they're still around. I know some of their older stuff is still shipping. As far as new stuff, I have no idea. As far as I know, it's not really available except for small quantities to fancy people.
Yeah, I know I ordered one of the carbon lights, which is kind of the newer carbon meets aluminum
Gotcha.
surprise on the old Supreme 400.
Gotcha.
And it did all right. It did all right. It's a great sight. I will say that. They still have some kinks they need to fix.
Yeah.
The only issue I was having with it is there were a couple spots to where they were using the carbon as threads, and it's extremely easy to strip out carbon.
Gotcha.
But yes, Sherlock is still a company.
Still kicking.
Yep. Just no carbonic sight.
Yeah.
No.
So.
They break too much.
All right. Billy from Instagram asked, give me a thumb button release recommendation, any price.
That's pretty open.
Yeah.
I'd have to think for a minute. Like, if I didn't care about the price and just wanted one, I mean, like, the goat that you've got's a good option because you can thumb button or back tension.
Yeah.
I love Carter releases. There's several of those.
Stan.
Yeah. Man, that's a hard one.
It is.
I will say, the Synapse,
Mm-hmm.
the TrueFire Synapse, the Sear, which is the back tension version.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, TrueFire, don't get it.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Do not get it.
I've heard that
It
too.
is terrible at resetting.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible at resetting. But the Synapse, which is the thumb version of it, is actually one of my favorite thumb releases that I've shot. Because you can adjust it to the point to where you about have to rip the string off the boater to get it go off, and you can breathe on it and get it go off.
Gotcha.
So it's a sweet release. But as far as my take on it, I would go Carter or Stan.
Yeah, I agree.
Even the True Ball Blade is a good one. It's a real good shooting little release, and it's thumb button.
I just, Carter, Stan,
True
Ball,
Ball,
any of the big boys have got nice stuff.
Yeah.
You need to handle it and kind of see what you like, what fits you good.
we're leaving one out. B3.
Yeah,
B3,
B3's got some
yes.
nice stuff.
Yes.
I was really impressed with them this year.
Check out the B3 stuff. They got some nice
That's actually
stuff.
probably what I would do, no joke.
Yeah.
I've been impressed with them.
Me too.
I haven't got to try any of their thumb releases yet, but I will say their caliper releases.
Yeah.
Actually, Jeremy, I shot
mine,
yours.
Yeah.
I fell in love with that thing.
Yeah. I was, it's the previous people that came from Scott pretty much, and I've always liked their stuff, so. I don't know. I know we gave a bunch of answers, but mainly just look at the top big brands, see if you can find some to play with, and
And if you
go for it.
and if you do look at them and go, I know you said any price, but let's be realistic here. As you're getting into these brands, you are going to start paying a lot of money.
Yeah, you're getting $200, $300, $400.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, with that being said, a really good thumb release, and people are probably going to look at me like I'm crazy, but that is a really good price point. The old Fang 4.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think it's like $100.
Yeah.
And it's pretty slick for the money. I mean, you can't beat it. You know what I mean?
I shot it my first season of ASA
Mhm.
and shot some of my best scores with a Fang 4.
Yep.
So I can't knock that release at all.
So anyway, maybe we helped a little bit.
Yeah.
It's hard to just say I would definitely get this one.
There's so many out there that, like, I got a goat back there. I really love it as a thumb button. Hadn't really tinkered as a hinge, but he asked about thumb buttons. If you wanted to learn the hinge, then I would recommend the goat, just because you have that option. You don't have to buy 2 releases.
I agree.
But a strictly thumb button, check out B3, True Ball, Stan, Carter. That would be the top 4 I would probably look into.
I agree.
Yeah, what I would do is contact your local pro shop.
Yeah.
And see what they have in stock, because a lot of times, you do have some pro shops that are kind of hesitant to pull a release out of a box and let someone shoot it.
Yeah.
But a lot of times your pro shops are going to be all right with you shooting it 2 or 3 times just to kind of get a feel for it.
Agreed.
So what I would do is, instead of, you have all these great companies, but instead of focusing on one company or whatnot, just go shoot some of the releases and figure out what feels best for you.
Well, and it's like, a True Ball large and a Stan large are going to feel completely different.
Absolutely.
Just what fits your hand the best is probably what's going to...
Yeah, if you're like me and you have tiny hands, short stubby fingers, versus, a guy that's 6'8" and can hold a basketball.
Yeah.
I can't hold a basketball. That's why I made that joke. I literally cannot hold a basketball.
Oh,
Shooting
man.
hoops.
Well, Billy, I hope we answered your question.
Oh, yeah.
Our next one comes in from a texter from the 213. Is it safe to shoot an underspined arrow if it's still bullet holes? He's shooting a Matthews Wake at 67 pounds with a 500 spine carnivore.
Ooh, I wouldn't.
Ooh.
No, not on that carnivore arrow.
Well, the main thing is you want to stay 5 grains per pound or more, and I would be willing to bet, unless he's like a 22-inch draw, that's under the weight, which is putting stress on the limbs. You could crack a limb, you could blow up your bow, but the main thing is if that arrow explodes and goes like in your arm, that's a bad situation.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I feel like that more or less is decided on what you consider safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with Jeremy here. No, do not do that.
No.
You
And honestly, if you put a broadhead on that, I bet it would fly like crap. You know what I mean? Just that little bit of extra drag out front. Most of the time, an underspined arrow will go wild. So make sure you're at least 5 grains per pound. How many pounds is he shooting?
67
And
on a
then-
Wake.
Yeah, and that's an aggressive speed bow anyway with a little short brace height. So just 5 grains per pound, and then look at a spine chart, because you're probably going to be at like a 350, according to what arrow you're shooting, 350, 340, whatever.
And like you say too, it also depends on draw length too.
yes.
And your air length also.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, be careful.
yeah, that I don't think that's a good combination.
I don't honestly, with that setup, I don't even know that I'd shoot a 400 spine.
I agree.
I would probably shoot a 350
Yeah.
and run a 120, 125 out front.
That's something.
That's what I would do. That way you can weaken that spine just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our next question comes in from the 423. How do I measure my draw length?
Go to your local pro shop.
That's probably the best answer, but I mean, there's a bunch of different ways. Like most people measure wingspan, divide by 2.5. It'll put you real close. But I've also seen people with like do that, and just the way their body's built, it's still not quite right. My main thing is like when somebody comes to full draw, I want their end of their loop or whatever kind of even with their belly button. They're not leaning back or they're not all scrunched up forward, comfortable. And another thing to watch out for is I've seen people come in here and they're like, man, my draw length's all jacked up. And it's really just the peep height. Their draw length's pretty close, but somebody's going to put the peep in way too high or low. And usually if it's way too high, they'll be kind of
trying to reach up to see through it.
And if it's too low, it can make it sometimes feel weird and short and all this. But, if you're doing it at home, birdie finger to birdie finger, divide by 2.5, that'll put you in the ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can go to a local shop and actually grab a bow off the wall, if you come up as a 28, grab a bow off the wall as a 28 and shoot it a few times, or 28 and a half, because, it can vary a little bit. And company to company, it can vary.
Yeah.
Like if I shoot a Matthews, I'm more like a 27, 27 and a half. Prime PSE 28. It's just according to the bow, but that's some people make a fist and put it up against the wall and measure from the wall to the corner of their mouth, but there's a lot of give you can do there. So
yeah,
easiest
way, if you're going to do this at home, birdie finger to birdie finger wingspan divided by 2.5.
Yeah.
And you're going to be pretty close.
Yeah, I agree.
So, our next one comes in from Jeff on Facebook. How do bow warranties work?
Most bows come with a lifetime warranty to the original owner now. So, just an example. Well, there's an example in the shop. A guy brings in a PSE, a couple years old. He had cracked a limb or whatever. So, pretty much I just take the serial number of the shop that you bought it from. Well, you don't have to even really be the shop you bought it from, but you got to go to that dealer. So like we're a PSE dealer. He brings it in. I call PSE. Here's the guy's name. Here's the serial number, blah, blah, blah. 2 weeks later, roughly, the limbs come in and then we fix it. But I think Elite originally had a transferable warranty, and I think Obsession may have.
I think Obsession stopped in 2015.
Yeah, it was kind of recent.
Yeah. And then PSC also, not PSC, but Obsession would still honor that transferable warranty today.
Yeah.
From 2015 and back.
So, the main thing is register the bow when you get it. If you buy, say, a Prime bow, Prime's kind of neat because they're a little bit different. They, you go online and register it, and then once you do that, about a week or two later, they send you a box full of stuff. Like you get a hat and you get wax and you get a. That's how you register. Yeah, stickers, and that's how you register to get the free strings for life and all that stuff. So, I think that's a good idea because a lot of people buy them, like especially Bear and PSC, to where you don't have to register it for any reason, and then they just never register it, which is not the end of the world. But if you have trouble, it needs to be in your name type thing. So, and then if TJ bought a Matthews 10 years ago, he sells it to me last year. I crack a limb. I'm not the original owner, so it's not covered. That's kind of how that works. And what a lot of people don't realize either is, I'm just throwing out limbs, but the limbs cover under warranty, but the shop's still going to charge a few bucks to swap it out because they're like, we get paid nothing to do any warranty work from the company. And we've had a couple people come in and get confused about that. And I'm like, listen, we're getting parts for your bow. It's not going to cost you a dime for that, but I'm going to pay somebody to fix this thing, and I'm not getting reimbursed from anybody. So, 20 or 30 bucks or whatever it comes out to be, people shouldn't freak, which they usually don't.
And, normally any shop, if you do, if you've come to us for a few years, you've been and I ain't really gonna say a loyal customer, but
if you bought the bow from us and
Yeah.
you keep coming back for airs and stuff, we're probably gonna do it for free. But,
exactly.
yeah.
So, it's just another way with, as a customer, if you keep going to that shop, you buy your bow from your shop or whatnot, they're going to in return later on down the road help you out. So
Yep.
it's
It's a
just
good
kind of
thing.
the way it works.
Good thing about having a good local shop.
Yep. Our next one comes in from a texter from the 876. Are a lot of shops closing recently?
I've seen a lot on Facebook closing, I'll be honest. I think with Facebook and Amazon and eBay and all the things that are going on now that wouldn't happen in 10, 15 years ago, I think a lot of shops is hurting them. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I've seen several online closing down, so possibly. I mean, I don't know. I know up north is where I keep seeing a lot going out of business, but more than ever, people are coming in, hey, I've traded for this on Facebook, or I found this on Archery Talk or whatever. And that's perfectly fine, and we just tell them up front, well, for us, we're going to charge you $20 or 30 or 50 or whatever we're doing to the bow to work on it. And, but anyway, I don't think a lot of shops have embraced the change of the online age, and it's hurt them pretty bad. So, yeah, I think there are some going out of business, and I think for the most part, your shops are, great people and all, but I know there's some with some older folks running them, and they just don't understand the whole internet stuff.
Yeah,
So,
the technology side of it. I mean,
and we try to tell people that come in, let's just say bear bows, for example. There's a lot of bear bows you can buy online, and maybe even $10-$20 cheaper than what we've got them. And that gets into a whole can of worms I'm not going to open today, but we're held to a standard of we can only sell them this cheap, you know what I mean? And we can lose our dealership if we don't do that. People kind of fly under the radar online under false business names and stuff and sell them cheaper and then sell a bunch of them, and it makes them look good. But we just try to tell people, yeah, you can buy that $20 cheaper on Amazon, but when you bring it in for us to set up, we're going to charge you like $50 to put everything on it and tune it and all that. But if you buy it from us, we're not going to charge you a dime extra. So it took a little bit of a learning curve for people, and so I don't know. I just think the internet's changed a lot of businesses, and archery's been one that wasn't really ready to see what all happened so quick, and it is what it is.
Yeah. I guess everybody just wants to try to keep it old school.
Yeah, and I mean, old school is cool, but if you keep it old school, I don't think you're going to stay around too long.
No, you're not. You have to adapt to the time with technology and everything.
Agreed.
Our last question I've got come in on email from DS Rees on my email. I'm used to using a torque wrench for a lot of things, but I'm having a hard time finding specs for sights, rests, etc. Do you have any guidance or suggestions? And do you see many loose parts, broken bolts come in, or is it just a non-issue as far as using a torque wrench?
We don't see a lot of broke stuff come in. We really don't. We don't. I mean, most of your archery stuff's going to be straight up Allen wrench stuff, and a few people have went to the Torx stuff, but I guess the way he's got it worded is he's talking about like a torque limiter on the wrench type thing. Yeah. Nah, I mean, it's just one of those. Now, I did have a guy a couple years ago come in with a Bowtech, and he had over-tightened his draw stop and broke it off in the cam. That was a big mess, but for the most part, I don't see a whole lot of that. I really don't. You just kind of know where to stop. And we have plenty of rests and sights come in, and we're like, good Lord, we can't get them off. But rarely do we break something off in there or anything, so not really a big deal in archery.
Yeah, I've never had that problem. But something that I do as well is a lot of your stock bolts and screws that you get for like mods, anything of that nature, usually are just hardened steel. And so what you'll see a lot of guys do is go to like an Ace Hardware or something like that and get the stainless steel.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've even seen those. I've had some people order them and bring them in. Those what was Fire the titanium screws.
Yeah.
And they're a lot lighter weight, and they don't rust. So it's like,
Yep.
that's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
And the silver looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree.
But as far as actual like a torque limiter wrench or anything, pretty much if you tighten it down, you don't want to over tighten anything, but
Yeah.
you get it good and snug, and you shouldn't have to worry about anything. And I mean, if something, let's say a mod screw does happen to work loose, if you do have a rotating mod, you know, you could take them screws out, put a little bit of blue Loctite on it,
Yeah.
you know, thread locker, put
Usually,
it back in.
Yeah, like something on the cam, I'm going to hit it with that blue just to make sure it stays pretty decent, but not much trouble.
Mm-mm.
I was going to say, as far as sights go and rests go when you're screwing those on, a good rule of thumb is, one, on a sight, don't lock one down
Yeah.
and leave one unlocked.
Yeah.
Lock them at the same time. And the best rule of thumb, for me at least, with all of those is when you start tightening it, the first time you hear tick, stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, no, there's some cheaper plastic sights I've seen some stuff broke on, but I'm just sitting there trying to think. There's not much.
The only time that I can think of anything was the only thing that we had break was a string stop rod out of a PSE.
I remember that, yeah.
But we had stripped it down and took it, and it got powder coated white.
Yeah.
And for some reason, we put it in, and we couldn't get it back out because we was gonna have to clean some of the powder coating out of it, and it ended up snapping part of it
I remember that.
in half. That was a mess.
But
That's impressive is what that is.
it's fancy.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all for the questions.
Yep.
Keep them coming. You can always send them in on the YouTube channel. You can text it to 843-560-9898. Send them to TJ at archeryshack.com.
Yep.
We'll get them answered one way or another.
Yes, please answer more or ask more questions. I love answering.
I know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
This is like the super fun part right here.
Yeah. But so hopefully we're about over the Corona mess.
Yeah.
The shoots have been canceled for the next few weeks. Hopefully not ours next weekend. And what else is going on? That's pretty much it. Everything right now is just that virus. So
Like I said, TAC is still supposedly, last I seen, they're still a go. I think they start up May,
Yeah.
around 1st of May, maybe.
yeah.
Late April, early May. So we're crossing our fingers that those don't get canceled.
Yep. I'm just excited we got Scott on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check him out on Facebook. I like it when you go live, and I'm like, yeah, man. But
It's fun to go live sometimes.
he'll just be like winking at the camera like, I'm a badass. But double bass. But anyway, I'm sure we'll have Scott back on here at some point because, well, we don't know how long the Corona's going to
Yeah.
keep everything going or out, keep him out of Drummond. But anyway, thank you for being on here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
for having me, guys.
Feel like we should group hug, but we can't move because we're plugged into everything. Thank y'all for listening.
Let me run get my Germex really quick.
If you need one of these Bowmar nose buttons, check out the link in the description. What else? I think we covered our bases.
Was this podcast 31?
31. Getting past the halfway point towards the year. It's crazy.
It is crazy, man.
I really wish we had more questions to answer right now. I'm having so much fun with you guys.
It's fun. But we'll let y'all get off here. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next week for all our usual stuff. We'll see you then.
Y'all have a good one.
Be good, guys.
Thank you, Scott.
Absolutely.